Gandhara art, style of Buddhist visual art that developed in what is now northwestern Pakistan and eastern Afghanistan between the 1st century BCE and the 7th century CE. The style, of Greco-Roman origin, seems to have flourished largely during the Kishan dynasty and was contemporaneous with an important but dissimilar school of Kishan art at Mathura, Uttar Pradesh, India. Paragraph. The Gandhara region had long been a crossroads of cultural influences. During the reign of the Indian Emperor Ashoka, 3rd century BCE, the region became the scene of intensive Buddhist missionary activity. And in the 1st century CE, rulers of the Kishan Empire, which included Gandhara, maintained contacts with Rome. In its interpretation of Buddhist legends, the Gandhara school incorporated many motifs and techniques from classical Roman art, including vine scrolls, cherubs bearing garlands, tritons, and centaurs. The basic iconography, however, remained Indian. Paragraph. The materials used for Gandhara sculpture were green phyllite and grey-blue mica schist, which in general belonged to an earlier phase, and stucco, which was used increasingly after the 3rd century CE. The sculptures were originally painted and gilded. Paragraph. Gandhara's role in the evolution of the Buddha image has been a point of considerable disagreement among scholars. It now seems clear that the schools of Gandhara and Mathura each independently evolved its own characteristic depiction of the Buddha about the 1st century CE. The Gandhara school drew upon the anthropomorphic traditions of Roman religion and represented the Buddha with a youthful Apollo-like face, dressed in garments resembling those seen on Roman imperial statues. The Gandhara depiction of the seated Buddha was less successful. The schools of Gandhara and Mathura influenced each other, and the general trend was away from a naturalistic conception and toward a more idealized, abstract image. The Gandhara craftsmen made a lasting contribution to Buddhist art in their composition of the events of the Buddha's life into set scenes. About the middle of the 5th century, Gandhara was conquered by groups of people often identified as the Huns or Hephthalites, thus bringing this major period of Buddhist patronage to a close. Still, a handful of objects attest to an ongoing Buddhist presence in Gandhara during the following centuries. A late 6th century Buddha, 1981.188 AB, is a good example of the perpetuation of Gandharan-style images. However, important adjacent Buddhist communities continued to thrive in the Swat Valley, Kashmir, and Afghanistan. Not surprisingly, sculptural production seen in the Kabul Valley of Afghanistan follows the artistic tradition originally established in Gandhara. Like the monumental Gandharan torso, the sculpture found at Afghan sites such as Hatta, including a head of a bodhisattva, 1986.2, is quite naturalistic. Still, the inset garnet eyes and elaborate hairstyle are elements not seen in Gandhara, but rather are an expression of Afghan taste. Ultimately, however, the stylistic roots of Buddhism in North India are reflected in another head from the site of Hatta, 30.32.5, that takes on the formal stylized features of Gupta period images found in the Ganges River basin. The taste for classical forms eventually fades, and by the 8th century, with the coming of Islam, the Buddhist tradition comes to an end in Afghanistan.